like I'm beside myself right now. Like I can't even believe this is going on, and I have no safety net. I don't know how I'm going to find a job at this time of year for a gardening position. I don't know if I'm going to lose my house, and now I have to pay for a lawyer and go to court to justify getting what I'm entitled to. It's horrific. It feels like I'm in an alternate universe right now. Like I can't make sense of it at all.
But we can all be fired at any time. Now, the only question is, upon that dismissal, are we owed severance or not? Are we being dismissed with cause, meaning we violated our contract, our employment contract in some way? Or are we being dismissed without cause, meaning our employer has violated our employment contract in some way? And if it's without cause, which to me, it seems like Karene clearly is being dismissed without cause, then she should be entitled to receive severance.
Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and we are outside of the Glencoe Club here in Calgary. The Glencoe is one of the more affluent private clubs in the city. And one employee from the Glencoe, after 29 years of service and a long tradition of family service, has lost her job here because of her vaccine status. Worse still, they are attempting to fire her with cause, which would mean that she would get no severance and not be eligible for EI. We're going to join her in just a moment to hear her story, and then we're going to go to Derek Fromm, who's serving as legal counsel for her, for a legal perspective on the story.
Yeah, so I've been the gardener, groundskeeper, and a building maintenance worker here at the club for 29 years.
And so through that time, and particularly after 29 years throughout COVID, is it correct that you were deemed an essential worker? So you've been working throughout all of this?
Yes, I've been here in the building maintenance department working this whole time, this whole year. I've been following the rules. I've been, following the protocols, wearing the masks, keeping my distance, doing everything that I need to do. And I'm being terminated with just cause for my vax stats.
It's unbelievable. And one of the big concerns there, obviously, when they say you're being terminated with cause, that revokes from you any capacity to gather severance, to get EI, any of these things that are safety nets that are meant to help us. Let's be clear, and you and I both know this, an employer can fire somebody at any point, but if there's not just cause, they have to pay severance to those people, and those people are then eligible for EI. By doing this, they've fundamentally undermined all of that from you. And one of the reasons that this is so particularly jarring is not only have you lost your job, your daughter's also lost her job, and beyond that, maybe if you could touch on the long history of service and some of the accolades you've received working here at the Glencoe Club.
Yeah, so my immediate family has put in about 111 years of service to this company. Besides myself, both of my daughters have worked here, my husband has worked here, my sister has worked here, my mother has worked here, her 3 sisters have worked here, and my grandmother has worked here, dating all the way back to the 1960s. It's absolutely appalling. I've done nothing wrong. I've received all kinds of accolades. I've got Team of the Year 3 times, 2 different service awards, Award of Excellence, Employee of the Year, and I've gotten a lifetime award that they call the Master of Service. And I'm beside myself right now. I can't even believe this is going on, and I have no safety net. I don't know how I'm going to find a job at this time of year for a gardening position. I don't know if I'm going to lose my house, and now I have to pay for a lawyer and go to court to justify getting what I'm entitled to. It's horrific. It feels like I'm in an alternate universe right now. I can't make sense of it at all.
And I can only imagine having this probably for years, being a member of this club, working at this club. This was for you for all that time, a place you were proud of, a place your family came to frequently, somewhere you truly loved, I can imagine.
I wouldn't have brought my daughters to work here if I didn't think it was a great place to work.
Yeah.
Like, I have fellow employees in there that I've worked with for 25, 29 years. You know, people that I've raised babies with, and
Well, and you're certainly not alone. It's pretty evident to me, everyone else, including Derek from your legal counsel, that nowhere in your contract did it state that you have to be vaccinated if an experimental vaccine comes up.
No.
If you could maybe touch on just the fact that after decades, you're saying 111 years of service, your family has contributed to the Glencoe Club. And then with the sudden emergence of a new vaccine passport that some provinces are already starting to drop, or at least in some criteria, this may just be a speed bump. We're certainly hoping that it is, and we're fighting to make it. But they're willing to throw away functionally a family that has dedicated 111 years of service to their club. How do you think that reflects on the Glencoe Club?
I think it's disgusting. It's horrible. It's immoral. It's wrong. I wore my Glencoe Issue Erase Bullying t-shirt today just to kind of point out that this is absolutely atrocious behavior. Any individual business, corporation, government that uses their clout, power, wealth, status to demoralize and subjugate and oppress any individual or group of individuals, and that includes people who are unvaccinated. We have rights too. Like, it's unacceptable.
Now that we have some of the personal testimony from Karene, we're going to go to her lawyer, a lawyer that you're now very familiar with, Derek Fromm, for some legal perspective on this troubling story.
That's correct. And you know, we probably don't want it to be another way, speaking from a policy perspective. If you're a common law employee, then you know what? All of us can be fired at any time for any reason, as long as it's not otherwise, you know, against the Human Rights Act or something like that. But we can all be fired at any time. Now, the only question is, upon that dismissal, are we owed severance or not? Are we being dismissed with cause, meaning we violated our contract, our employment contract in some way? Or are we being dismissed without cause, meaning our employer has violated our employment contract in some way? And if it's without cause, which to me, it seems like Karene clearly is being dismissed without cause, then she should be entitled to receive severance.
It seems pretty open and shut. There's no clause in the contract that stipulated she must become vaccinated if an experimental vaccine is to be mandated by the government. That's exactly what's happening in this case, and yet, not only in her story, but stories across the country, we're hearing about people losing their jobs, not receiving severance, and then we're still not being eligible for EI that they've paid into. Where are employers getting the chutzpah to do this?
Well, they're all singing from the same songbook. Yeah. So my impression is, you know, this is how the legal community works. If an employer comes to you and says, I want to be able to dismiss employees, but I can't afford severance, find me a way to do it. Well, a good lawyer will go and find some way to make it happen. So my guess is occupational health and safety is something like that. That's probably what they're going to hang their hats on. But I don't think that works in court. It would be interesting to see this have its day before a judge. I think a judge is going to look at that rather incredulously. Yeah. Hopefully, we get to have a good trial on this issue at some point in the future to get this settled in Canadian law, and so that we get some clarity whether or not employees who are dismissed for terms that were never in their contract, that they did not agree to, that their employer imposed upon them after the fact, whether they can be fired with cause for that.
Well, I want to once again thank Karene for taking time to share her important and heartbreaking story with us. It's one of countless thousands across this country, people facing termination based on their vaccine status. We're very lucky that she has Derek Fromm in her corner going to bat for her. Across the country, people are standing up for themselves and standing up for their medical privacy. We're going to continue to follow this story and bring you updates as the court proceedings develop. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. If you agree that people have a right to maintain their job regardless of their vaccine status, you can help us fight back in court by going to fightvaccinepassports.com.